everybody, Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. We are officially going to cross over into 400 audios available for you on a variety of topics. Please subscribe. We want to do some good things for charity in 2021, and we need at least 1,000 subscribers to be able to do that. So if you could send this and other audios around and help people to subscribe, that would be awesome. Today is going to be a bit of a challenging audio in the sense that we're going to talk about things to know about suicide. And so just a little bit of my background. I lost my first love to suicide in 2007. A very close mentor and friend about less than 2 years later. And I've dedicated my life as a trauma recovery specialist and life and business coach to helping people to get back their lives after trauma for the last 13 plus years. It'll be 14 come October. So I'm really passionate about the issues that would lead a person to be suicidal. I have a lot of viewpoints about this issue that are non-traditional, because I think the traditional model, while it does touch on 65 to 75% of the needs of society, I don't think it touches on every need, and that should be our focus, is reaching every person we possibly can. And so hopefully you'll find something useful in this audio. So these are things that people who are suicidal but maybe haven't come out and said so might do, and there's probably about 10 to 12 things I want to cover in this audio. If you're struggling with suicidal ideation, I encourage you to get a team of people to work with, from a nutritionist so your body is right, maybe start working out a bit more. Also, physical activity can change brain chemistry. Work with a trauma specialist, psychologist, psychiatrist, life coach, spiritual healer if you're a spiritual person. Have a team of people. And the reason I say a team is because one person does not have your answer. They have a viewpoint. They may have knowledge that they can impart to you. But if you really want recovery, it is a multifaceted process. And so I work with about 30 traditional therapists who will refer me the people that they're not breaking through with. And I'm able to break through with maybe 80-85% of them. There's still people, even after 14 years of doing this, that I have to send somewhere else. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I care about people's recovery more than I care about what I myself do. What I do is irrelevant. What they do in their own recovery is what matters. To date, I've been able to help prevent over 20, I think I'm at 25 right now, suicides in 14 years. And I'm grateful for that. And as much as the losses that I suffered related to suicide are painful, I'm grateful they existed, because the losses of those people taught me to have a higher level of compassion than I would have had having never had that life experience. And so even from the darkest moment, good things can come. So getting into our more direct content here, a person who has a suicidal ideation or tendency, they're going to ask your opinion and viewpoint. There's two reasons for this. Number one, they're really looking for acceptance. And so they are looking for someone to say that how they feel is valid, and someone to say to them, you know what, I can't imagine what you're going through, but if you are at a place where you don't want to be here anymore, you shouldn't have to be. And believe it or not, that's what the majority of people going through that are looking for. Yes, I care. Yes, I want you to stay, but I can't imagine your pain, and I can't force you to stay. That's a gateway open for many people who want recovery. And so what happens in more traditional environments, because of the laws around the world, is we focus on, I want you to stay alive, and life is wonderful, and life is great. But a person who feels like their freedom of choice is taken away is only going to go deeper into their own despair. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't focus on helping people recover. Much to the contrary, that should be where our focus is. But it's also equally important for a person to feel that their struggle of being unable to get themselves to a healthy place has been heard. The next thing is they'll start to give away personal belongings. They'll start to give away their favorite book or their favorite comic book or their music collection or their favorite outfit. They're giving away these items for two reasons. Number one, if I'm going to end my life, I don't need them anyway. But number two, they're trying to connect with, even though I'm making this choice, I believe in you. I believe in the friendship you gave me. I believe that these things have value and you might benefit. I want to try and help you heal, even though I am no longer wanting to be here. I care about how you feel more than I care about how I feel, which is a common thing for people who have suicidal ideation. They actually have more compassion than they believe they've been shown. And I think that is something that they don't talk enough about in our society. Outside of mental illness and psychopathy, wherein a person has a chemical imbalance, the biggest reason that I've ever heard of people, and this is literally talking to thousands of people about various issues that, at levels of um, ideation, they didn't get loved in the way they needed to. They don't feel that anybody accepts them where they are, and they try to give, through compassion of giving away items, the love that they wish they had received before they got to that point. And it's an interesting dichotomy because the real reason, or a core reason, that people choose to end their life is because they couldn't receive the love that was given to them and it didn't come to them in the way they needed it. And that is an indictment of our society as a whole, that we have 7 billion people and that every day there are people who feel unloved. That's a flaw in human nature, and it's one that a lot of people don't want to look at. The next is if someone's triggered to look at a will. Now, there's many reasons that a person can look at a will. I know in my own life, because of chronic illness and because of issues with chronic illness, I have had a will since right after my 18th birthday because I was told I wouldn't live past 30. Um, and so for me, it was more, let's be responsible. But if a person all of a sudden starts talking about a will, starts talking about their final affairs, how they want to be buried, whether they want to be buried or cremated, where they want this to happen, who they want at the services or final attendance, all of these things, if that starts to become a consistent conversation, not a one-off conversation. A one-off conversation is a responsible thing that I think that we should all do. But if we are, hearing somebody talk about it every day, every week, every month, that's a sign that they're thinking about the end more than they're thinking about what lies ahead. Obviously, a preoccupation with weapons, either purchasing of a weapon, getting a weapon, stockpiling ammunition for weapons, having having an interest that is out of nowhere in different forms of weaponry. This is another thing. Odd daily habit routines. So what I mean by that is sleeping and eating. If a person starts to eat a lot more or a lot less, if a person starts to sleep a lot more or a lot less, these can be, if they don't have outside stimulus. In other words, I've started another job, so I got to change my sleep schedule. I've been sick or diagnosed with an illness, so I got to change what I eat. These can be signs of suicidal tendency. Now, a person who might have that tendency, they may start gorging on food because they're never going to eat again once they've passed away. Or they may choose to focus on, I'm not going to eat at all because what's the point? I'm not going to be here anyway. Similarly, sleep, oversleeping. So, prolonged focus on going to sleep and staying that way just to block out the world, or the inability to sleep outside of chronic insomnia. As a chronic insomniac, having chronic insomnia for over 30 years now, started when I was a child, is definitely something that doesn't always make one suicidal, but if insomnia comes out of nowhere and has no explanation, that can be a major issue. The next is no energy. Energy to do things that they previously enjoyed. Energy to do daily life activities like getting up, getting dressed, cooking for themselves, doing their daily life tasks and skills, going to work, social interaction, and all of these things. If the energy is just not there to do anything, that can be a sign of major imbalance. The next is addictive behavior increase. So a person who is going towards feeling they don't want to be here anymore may drink, they may use drugs, they may use sex, they may gamble. A couple of things. They're looking for the high of feeling they can change their state through the addictive behavior, or they're looking for the low to take the edge off. So if a person who has struggled with addiction has an intensification of an addictive behavior or series of addictive behavior, it is very likely that they may be at least considering ending their life sometime in the not too distant future. Lack of interest in things that interested them before, hobbies, relationships, social interactives, games, TV shows. If a person all of a sudden starts to withdraw from all of their interests for an extended period of time, 2 to 4 weeks or longer, then this is a sign they may be considering ending their life. Obviously, all of these things alone, single unto themselves, may not be a sign of these things, but if there's multiple things on this list that you're seeing from a person, then we certainly have a lot of challenges to do. The next is a propensity towards self-harm, cutting, burning, striking oneself, withholding food, withholding sleep, all sorts of anything that's going to be deliberately self-harming is there. The next is riskier behaviors, so they may be speeding, they may be using drugs, they may be using alcohol, multiple sexual partners, increase in promiscuity, increase in not caring about consequences. I didn't go to work today, I didn't even call in, I didn't, keep my promises or my word to virtually anybody for an extended period of time. These are signs of an issue. Obviously, if a person has either a family history or a previous history themselves of suicidal ideation or attempt, the likelihood that they will go back there because it's not a one and done situation can be extremely high. And so hopefully this has been helpful for you to kind of have an overview of these things. Now, the one thing I do want to touch on that I think would be a horrible crime if we didn't is, what do we do for these people that are struggling in this way? And I think until we as a society provide them with a place to go that allows them to rehab their mind, body, and spirit for an extended period of time, that is government or privately sponsored, I don't care which, maybe it's both, and we don't make it a hospital environment, we make it a living environment where they have as much access to care as to mental health care as they desire. They have multiple people available to them to work on their needs. They have access to their loved ones, their friends, their family as needed. They cultivate a plan. They work through their daily plan, and they are progress motivated. And this lasts for 6 months to 2 years, depending on severity. So I'm not talking about this complete junk where we send people for 5 to 7 days and we expect them to be better with medication. That actually does nothing. It's a band-aid on a bullet hole for a great number of people. I'm talking about a commitment in society to getting people healthy and helping them to relaunch their lives. That's what's needed. In these trauma recovery centers, yes, they would be expensive. Yes, they would be prohibitive in a lot of ways, but if we want to reduce violent crime, if we want to reduce domestic violence, if we want to reduce suicide, if we want to reduce random acts of violence like school shootings and all these other things, we have to take and treat the person holistically and completely, not just short term and expect medication and therapy once or twice a week to really fix anything. Because in reality, for most of those people, the battles that led them to self-destructive behavior are a 24-hour-a-day thing, and they need to be able to know their own resilience of being able to recover in a panoramic 360 view of themselves. And so, hopefully, this audio has been helpful. I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.